Welcome to this video on effective teaching practices for teaching the whole child. The focus of this video is on effective pedagogical practices for the primary school teacher, and we'll touch on three aspects which teachers need to consider for teaching the whole child. These being student wellbeing and pastoral care, effective teaching practices for good academic outcomes, and classroom resources required to support practice. This video is not intended to cover each aspect comprehensively, but will provide examples of practice in each area, linking the examples to theories of learning and outlining the impact practice has on student learning outcomes. Pastoral care is defined by the West Australian Department of Education as the commitment of staff to the wellbeing of every student. It is achieved through the promotion of positive environments that support the physical, social, intellectual and emotional development of each child. As Mann states, it is not the destination of schooling, but the nourishment for the learning journey. Evidence shows that students' emotional well-being can support or impede their academic engagement, work ethic, commitment, and ultimately learning outcomes. Additionally, evidence suggests that relationships and emotional processes affect how and why students learn. Whilst external factors such as family environment may have positive or negative impacts on student well-being and thus outcomes, in the classroom, teachers can support student well-being by building relationships with their students and creating environments of trust. To do this, teachers should smile at their students, take the time to get to know their students, taking an interest in what they do and what they like. They should encourage all students to join in, establish clear expectations, and organise fun activities. These examples of practice are consistent with classical conditioning, an element of behaviourist learning theory. Teachers also have a responsibility to ensure the school is a safe environment for students, which is critical to learning and development. As a teacher, you might support this by facilitating a classroom discussion on acceptable and non-acceptable behaviour. Together, the class would work to negotiate and agree a classroom bullying policy. This approach aligns with social constructivism, which recognises that all knowledge is constructed through social interactions and experience. Teachers should select evidence-based teaching practices to ensure every student is engaged, challenged, and learning successfully. Once teachers understand what is effective, they should be flexible and adaptable in their use of multiple teaching approaches, giving consideration to the student learning needs that have been identified. An example of an effective teaching practice that should be implemented in all classrooms is feedback. Feedback has been identified as information provided by an agent, in this case the teacher, regarding aspects of students' performance or understanding that reduces the discrepancy between what is understood and what is aimed to be understood. Hattie states that feedback is among the most powerful influences on student achievement. The most effective forms of feedback provide cues or reinforcement for students, or is where feedback relates directly to the established learning goals. Three key questions for teachers and students in relation to feedback are: where am I going, how am I going, and where to next? Feedback can come not only from teachers, but parents, peers, and even through the use of technology such as computer programs or educational iPad games. It is important to note that not all forms of feedback are effective for improving student performance. The least effective forms of feedback include praise, punishment, and extrinsic rewards such as providing certificates, gold stars, or house points. However, these forms of feedback may be useful elsewhere in the classroom, for instance in behaviour management strategies. Contemporary teaching practices are student-centred and require students to engage in more powerful forms of active, constructivist learning that teaches understanding and independence. This has an impact on the types of resources that are required to support learning. An example is problem-based learning. Problem-based learning is a strategy where students are confronted by a problem that has meaning to them. This raises an inquiry which they then collaborate to find a solution. For instance, you might task your students with designing a new garden on the school premises, using plants that are native to the local area. Here, students need to work in groups, and it is therefore essential to arrange tables and seating in clusters where students can sit together. Additionally, you can create breakout areas in the classroom where groups of students can be more creative, discuss the project, or model ideas. Other resources to support project-based learning in this example would include interactive whiteboards, visual aids, books, ICT for the purpose of research or as an online space for collaboration, and tools to assist with drawing up of plans for the garden, such as measuring tape or protractors. I hope that you have found this video a useful resource and have learnt some new strategies for teaching the whole child. Thanks for watching.